Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now. I am Tom Downey, and early OTAs, the voluntary organized team activities, emphasis on the voluntary part, are underway. We've got a couple practices actually in the book for Minnesota, so I figured we'd take a look at some of the early winners and the early losers, knowing, of course, that things can and most certainly will end up changing. So my first winner is a name we all know very well. That is Dalvin Cook, the running back. And you might have seen I call it the overreaction of Dalvin Cook's playing receiver. It's not really what's going on, but the Vikings were giving Cook wide receiver reps. And the rationale is pretty easy. Get your good players the football, right? Now, Cook did miss some time last year, still put up really good numbers, great averages. The touchdowns were down, but he has been a very productive runner in his time in the NFL. As the Vikings move towards the Kevin O'Connell offense, I fully anticipate a bigger receiving workload for Dalvin Cook, much to the delight of PPR fantasy owners everywhere. Cook's receptions, his targets, have dipped the last 2 years. 53 and 63, or I should say 63-53, to 54 and 44. 49-34. I think those numbers will go up, and I like that. I think utilizing your backs in the passing game is what smart organizations do, and I think the Vikings can be a smart organization as they move forward. So if you are hyped about Dalvin Cook in 2022, then I am asking you to share this video and show off to all your Vikings fan friends how excited you are about Cook and what I think will be a big-time year this season. Here's the process for sharing the video. Click the share button. The icon looks like what you see on screen there, way over there, the other side of the screen. Click the Twitter icon. Tag me in the tweet at WhatGoingDowney. I'll show you guys some love. Use hashtag hype in the tweet just so I don't lose track and I can even search in case you don't tag me or whatever. And then click the tweet, and we appreciate the shares and the hype train around Dalvin Cook. Let's move now to Kellen Mond. Yeah, we're talking Kellen Mond praise. What a wild time to be alive here at Minnesota Vikings Now. Comes to us from his head coach, Kevin O'Connell. When asked about Kellen Mond, he said, yeah, Kellen's having a good spring so far. Working hard, digesting the system. He made a couple of checks at the line of scrimmage that he wasn't prepared play-by-play for, like, hey, make sure you're on play 12, you're ready to do this. He kind of instinctively did that. Those are the little things you look for. Is this just Kevin O'Connell being nice, which, of course, Kellen Mond did not get at all from Mike Zimmer, or is it hype up a young QB? Whatever it is, I am inclined to take the young head coach at his word because, well, there's no evidence of lying in his background quite yet. Mond is getting, by the way, number 2 reps behind Kirk Cousins. So at minimum, this team and organization wants to see if Kellen Mond can be the backup. He didn't really ever have that chance last year under Mike Zimmer. He is getting that chance in some capacity this year. That does make him a big-time winner as far as I'm concerned. So are you back, whether it is for the first time or the second, third, fourth time, whatever? Are you back in on Kellen Mond hopping on that train? If you are, type in Y for yes. If you are not, type in no. Sound off for me right now in the comments section. Let's talk about 2 younger wide receivers now. We're sticking offense heavily, and as I go through my list, 4 of the 5 are on offense. Didn't plan it, that's how it turned out there in the end. We are focused in on Ihmir Smith-Marsette and Bisi Johnson. Their last healthy years, 2020 for Bisi Johnson and 2021 for the former rookie out of Iowa, Ihmir Smith-Marsette. Limited production, 14 catches versus 5. Ihmir Smith-Marsette does bring you speed and vertical threat ability. Both guys have made some splash plays at OTAs, and I think they're contending for that number 4 wide receiver role. You've got Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver. You know what I'm going to do next time? I'm just going to do wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 1 for both of them, because they're both number 1 receivers in the end. KJ Osborne impressed me last year, and if Bisi Johnson and Ihmir Smith-Marsette can keep this up, that gives the Vikings 5 quality wide receivers with some special teams value. That tends to add up at a pretty good clip for a team that will, I believe, throw the football more than what they've done in the past. Our first and only defensive winner, at least for now, that's Bynum, who I was impressed by in a very limited sample size of playing time and starter reps last year, a TFL, a sack, an INT. He was, of course, behind the Iron Men of Harrison Smith for the most part and Xavier Woods as well. But it is Bynum who is getting, for now at least, the starting reps at safety with Harrison Smith out due to the birth of his kid, which, I mean, congrats, Harrison. That's a pretty damn good reason to miss voluntary OTAs. It's been Bynum and Josh Metellus as the top two safeties over Lewis Cine, who we'll talk about more in depth here in a little bit. I've got one more winner who I don't think you guys are going to like, by the way, but I want to hear from you. I mean, you're tracking OTAs, I'm sure, just as close as I am. So I want to hear from you guys, you Vikings fans out there. Name an early OTA winner for me in the comment section right now. My next winner is Garrett Bradbury. And you guys might not like it. I understand. I know there are many who are off of the Garrett Bradbury train because he has not been that good and not nearly what you would expect out of a first-round pick at center. But I do believe that he is a flawless fit in what the Kevin O'Connell offense wants to do, what they ask of their offensive linemen, and most importantly, there's no competition. The Vikings have not, at this point, added a veteran like J.C. Treader. They did not draft anybody. It is Bradbury and then Austin Schlottman getting the backup reps at center. That is a Bradbury win by virtue of there not really being any semblance of competition. If you have not already subscribed to us here at Minnesota Vikings Now, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. That way, producer Jack can feed his two cats, and he's not as lonely if you subscribe. So help us out. Help out producer Jack. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. Coming up next is the Vikings early OTA losers. And welcome to life. There are winners and there are losers. That is how the world works. Now remember, just because you're a loser in May doesn't really mean much of anything in terms of week one of the season, but it's winners and losers, and sometimes players start off not the way they want, beginning with Wyatt Davis, the offensive guard for the Vikings, and I am worried, unfortunately, about his roster status for this organization. He is still working with the backups. Ezra Cleveland was locked in at left guard for these portions of OTAs so far, with Chris Reed and Jesse Davis rotating as the starters at right guard. Now, those are more experienced players than Davis, but that does not bode well for Wyatt because Cleveland's going to make this team. In the event Jesse Davis and Chris Reed make it at guard, plus second-round pick Ed Ingram, are the Vikings going to carry 5 offensive guards? Barring injury or Wyatt Davis moving, fingers crossed on that front, that does not add up very well for the numbers game at the offensive guard spot. That right guard battle, and we'll do a future video on this, by the way, is one of the most intriguing ones across the Vikings roster. It appears to be Davis, Jesse, Davis, Wyatt, Chris Reed, Ed Ingram, and that is it in the battle. Ali Udoh has been getting work as the swing tackle, which, for the record, I actually like that move quite a bit. So Davis is kind of my go-to early OTA loser. Sorry, Wyatt and or family members of Wyatt Davis. But I want to hear you guys. You can be mean. You can be a hater in the comments. It's all good. Name an early OTA loser. This one I can explain. The rookies, all of them, because they are not being given their job, which for the record is probably a good thing, but you also have to go earn that from the young guys' perspectives. Lewis Cine, who I do think starts for you week one. Andrew Booth, who's going to play a big role for you in year one. Ed Ingram, Brian Asamoah, Caleb Evans, all 5 of those first picks for Minnesota are not yet working with the starters. They have to earn it right now. Would we be saying the same thing if they had stood pat and taken Kyle Hamilton about not being a starter? I'm not so sure. But I do think this organization, this regime led by O'Connell, wants to make the young guys earn it. They have to prove, which I do respect, but they've got to do it before they can truly win, or I should say, earn the winner label. Finally, Irv Smith. Sorry, Irv. Not the end of the world here. By the way, this is that he's not quite all the way back. He's done some stuff. He's done some side, ran some routes. That's a promising sign for Irv Smith. He's simply not all the way back with the backup tight end, Johnny Munt, also injured. It's been Zach Davidson as tight end 1, and I didn't want to be too mean, but not the best results so far. So the tight end grouping overall has a lot of room to grow, But I still believe that this year is the long-awaited, much-promised Irv Smith breakout season. But for now, he's not doing that much. That does make him an unfortunate loser.